Welcome to Progressive Action TV. I am your host, Tramel Thompson, and I just want to say, we back, we back, we back, we back, we back, we back again. We back, we back, we back, we back, we back, we back again. Yo, I tried to do the Instagram live thing straight from my phone. I bought me a nice gimbal, tried to bring guests on, but it just wasn't working. I had to go back to what I normally do, and that's the syndicated Progressive Action TV show. And what I mean by syndicated is that we're live right now on YouTube. We live right now on Instagram. Let me make sure that's going. We live right now on Instagram. We live right now on X, formerly known as Twitter, and we're live on Facebook or simultaneously. And as you can see, we're back with the call-in show. So if you got any questions, comments, concerns, you want to talk about the topic today, which we're going to be talking about how the federal government is targeting the MTA on safety. I would like to know you got y'all thoughts on this whole entire saga between the federal government and New York State regarding the MTA. As you can see, the phone lines are open, 914-998-6942. And I want to make it clear, the thoughts, views, and opinions of how I conduct Progressive Action TV has nothing to do with Local 100. This is my thing. This has been my thing for the past 10 years. And even though I am an elected officer, I am not speaking from the viewpoint of Local 100 on this show. I'm speaking as Tramel Thompson, the public citizen, the public figure, and as a passenger of New York City Transit, because for those who don't know, I am not an employee anymore, which means that I don't have the Epic Pass. I buy a regular Metro card. So as you can see, the phone lines are wide open tonight. How you guys are doing, man? It feels like a long time I haven't been tapped in with you guys. And you want to know how long it has been? That I did not um I forgot how to set up the show. That's a fact. I forgot how to set up the show. I couldn't believe it myself. I forgot how to set up the show. But let me make sure everything is what it is, man, because if it's not, I'm gonna have to make it right. Let me see 1 second. I don't know why. Let me make sure. Can y'all hear me loud and clear out there? I'm just trying to check the comments, go through the comments to see what's going on. All right, I'm live on Facebook. Live on Facebook right now. You know, I need y'all to share out the live. While I'm getting this together, share out the live. I'm trying to make sure, see what's going on YouTube. I want to see what's going on YouTube right now. I don't need to do that. I can't leave YouTube out. And if I do, you know, I could upload it a little later. But I want to be live on YouTube right now too. Let me see. Edit. Let me edit the video real quick. I could do that later. But how is everyone doing tonight? Let me just make sure. Let me just check on one more thing. Like I said, I haven't been live on this in a long time. It says it's streaming, so we're good. It says it's streaming, so we're good, right? Let's jump straight into it, man. Let's get straight into this whole saga. There's been some fighting, some back and forth going on between the Trump administration, namely Sean Duffy and Governor Hochul and Jan Oliva and the MTA brass. It's been a back and forth between them regarding the safety in the subways, right? Regarding the safety in the subways. Major thing going on. And it started off with, let me put this on the screen real quick. Trump's transportation secretary calls New York City subways a sugar honey iced tea hole during visit to New Jersey I-80 sinkholes, right? Now, is Sean Duffy lying? Now, as a former worker, former conductor of New York City Transit, I'm going to tell you guys this. Sean Duffy is not lying. I don't care how the MTA sum it up, what they do. Sean Duffy is not lying. He's not lying at all, right? We all know what's going on in the subways. We all know what the workers experience in the subways. And it is a sugar honey iced tea hole. Let's make no mistake about it. It is. It's bad in the subways. We all know that it's bad. And the MTA is doing nothing to try to fix it. And Sean Duffy also put out this letter directly to the MTA. And I want to read it to you guys. And it's addressed, as you can see, to Mr. Jan Oliva, right? He sent it to 2 Broadway. And he said, I am writing to you regarding the U.S. Department of Transportation's focus on safe travel in New York City. To protect the safety of passengers and workers and in turn promote travel by public transit, the New York City Transit Authority of the New York Metropolitan Transportation Authority must ensure a safe and clean environment, reduce crime and fare evasion, and maintain a safe operating system. Notably, there have been a number of high-profile safety-related incidents occurring on the system, and citizens of the city have openly expressed their support for expanded care for individuals struggling with mental illness to specifically address some of these safety concerns. Therefore, based on the department's ongoing focus and pursuant to its oversight authority, the FTA directs New York City Transit to provide information about agency practices and expenditures. See FTA Master Agreement. We don't need to look at that. But this is what they said. FTA review New York City actions. Please provide the following information. This is what the FTA wants. New York City actions and plans to reduce crime on its system. Please include trends and actions taken to address the following concerns. Transit worker assaults, including the current status of actions provided to FTA in response to Special Directive 22-14 and General Directive 24-1 relating to de-escalation training, video surveillance, and police patrols. Specifically include the following. The number and percentage of employees receiving de-escalation training and the date you expect to be compliant with the requirements of the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plans Regulation found at 49 CFR C673-29A. The second one is the number of transit worker assaults by month for the last 2 years and the status of deployment and effective and mitigation you provided in response to the above mentioned special and general directives, including video surveillance and police patrols. Fear invasion, including the number, including the most recent data and actions to combat this problem. Let me go to the next tile. Criminal activity, including customer assaults, such as passengers being pushed in trains, in front of trains, or whatever the case is. Yeah, so the federal government means business, right? This is not for fake. This is not for play. They are being serious as far as what they expecting from the MTA. And not to mention, we are being serious also. We're being serious also, right? Those same questions and concerns that the federal government is asking for is the same questions and concerns that um I'm talking about, right? In fact, you know what's so crazy? In fact, I just got a call from the federal government just now while we're live on the phone. While we're live on the phone, I just want to tell him that I'm gonna call him back. Let's go tell him I'm gonna call him back. That's that. Hey, Mr. Gonzalez, real quick. I don't wanna ambush you, but I'm just returning your call. I'm live on my show. I'm gonna call you back as soon as I'm done. I can send you the link to my show so you can check it out to see what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about with Sean Duffy from the FTA talking about crime in the subways. But I'll call you back. I'll call you back after the show. All right, cool. I got you. Thank you. All right. All right. That was Mr. Gonzalez from the federal government from HHS. He just called me, left me a message. So I'm gonna get back to what we don't. Yeah, and I want to say something to you guys. I want to say something to you guys seriously. I want to say something to you guys seriously. Do y'all think that the federal government is here by accident? I mean, why the federal government never got involved with the MTA before? Y'all think that this is by accident? Y'all think that I'm not putting a spotlight on the MTA? I don't know, man. Y'all tell me what's going on, because I don't know. You know, my guy get into the White House and, you know, things start happening, and the MTA did some things to me that they feel like they thought they ain't have to answer for and all that other stuff, but it's cool. It's cool. We're going to get down to the business. I just want to remind y'all the phone lines are open tonight, 914-998-6942. Now, what I want to do right now is that I want to play some videos for you guys, and I want to make it clear, especially to the workers, especially to the workers. I want to make this clear. Hold on, I want to make this clear. Y'all got to start going to these MTA board meetings. Not only the big meetings that happen on Wednesdays. There was the main MTA board meeting that happened today. I didn't get a chance to go to it because I had some other MTA business to take care of with meetings. But they have meetings on Mondays that deals with New York City Transit, and they have meetings on Wednesdays that touch on New York City Transit and the overall business of the MTA. I like to go to the main meetings on Wednesdays, but for New York City Transit, especially for the workers, that meeting is specifically for us. So you get to hear what these MTA board members be thinking and their views on public transit and how they feel that it's safe, and it basically contradicts everything that we do. Now, I pulled 3 clips from that meeting just to give you guys an insight on what happens at these meetings, and I want to discuss it. Matter of fact, we go discuss this. We're going to discuss it live. Why not? Let's discuss it live. Let me put that on the screen, and you know what? Let's go through these videos real quick.
Morning, Chief. Morning, Chief. Morning, Chief.
Good morning. So just to touch on President Crishlow's point earlier, whenever I get down into the system, I always thank an MTA worker. But it's bigger than that. It's going down there and asking them what they see, what's going on in the system, what can we as the NYPD do better. And I think that's a big key for what we do. So I make sure the first thing I say, I shake their hands, I thank them for what they're doing, and then I follow up and I ask, what's the issue with the station? What do you see? What can we do better? And it's that partnership that grows tremendously for us, and it's a big piece of what we do. If it's Mike Kemper, Joe Nugent, Gabby Saliba, getting information together, to going down and just talking to people, right? And when we talk about what's going on in the subway system, we talk about safety. I'm going to read the numbers. They're excellent, but it's that perception of safety, right? That's the piece that we have to work on. And when I go into that perception piece, talking to the MTA worker, talking to the ridership, talking to the officers down there, that's where you get the real sense of what's going on. We're really taking a look at our biggest complaint we receive, and we get it from many different places. But what we see is the simple transit rule violations that pop up over and over again. There's members of this board who send me information. I speak to the public when out there, and we see the same thing over and over again. And we've really focused down on that quality of life issue, those transit rule violations, to make it a safer system, and then really to work on that perception. I think we're moving very much in the right direction when it comes to that, when we talk about perception. If you look at the numbers for February, the system saw 134 crimes. That's a 15.7 reduction compared to the previous February. And over the past 2 months, we've seen 28.2% reduction in crime, which amounts to 110 fewer victims compared to the same period last year. I mean, those numbers speak for themselves.
So, Chief, and I hate to interrupt you, but and I hate to even say this, but so what is our, transportation secretary talking about? If we, our numbers are saying one thing, they're saying something else.
This lady is a complete fraud. She's a complete fraud. What is she talking about? What is Sean Duffy talking about as far as the transit system being unsafe? See, they want us to believe in these numbers, right? They want to play these numbers games with us. They want us to think the things that we see every single day is a hoax. We should not believe our eyes because our eyes are lying to us, but we need to believe these numbers that are fictitious. They fake. You want to know why they fake? Because you know how many mentally ill people we see on the subways that nobody called the police about? And just because the police was not called doesn't mean that the system is safe. Safety has nothing to do with their numbers. That we're going to get into what they say about their numbers after she finished what she finished saying. We're going to get into the numbers because we found out that the numbers was fake. Right? So she want us to address, don't believe your eyes because your eyes is lying to you. Let's talk about these numbers. These numbers saying it's safe and your eyes is lying to you. This lady is gaslighting not only the workers, but the riders of New York City. She's not honest. And this is what drives me to do what I do, because they are gaslighting us all. But let's continue to what she got to say.
I mean, where are they getting their numbers from?
Well, we're supplying the numbers to the MTA, as we move forward, from the police department side of it. And just for us, like, it's simple. I'm going to go back to that perception piece. Okay. That's really the piece we're working on. But the numbers and what the officers are doing every day, their level of engagement is the highest it's probably ever been. So I couldn't be more proud of the members of the NYPD, but also the agents, the gate guards. I mean, this is a true partnership, and it works.
So Secretary Duffy just is saying perception it's not safe, or
I'm not going to.
Right, I don't want to get into it.
No,
right,
no, I don't want to get into it. I'm not. This is it. I can only. The numbers reflected by the NYPD.
Right.
And I'll
and we should be proud of these numbers. I mean, we're keeping the subway system safer. We're trying to.
It's been a true investment from the police commissioner and mayor straight down, putting those extra cops out there, getting cops on the overnight trains, getting more cops on the platforms and on the trains. That shift there alone, I think, was one of the biggest pieces we saw, was getting away from the turnstiles, getting the cops on the platform. And why was that so important? That's where 78% of our crime occurs.
And without you telling us, I'm assuming that there are more cops. I mean, I see it. More cops are in the system.
Yeah, we put a big investment into moving cops into the system. And I think you said the numbers speak for themselves.
Great. Okay.
She's talking about she see it. I guarantee you she spends less than an hour a day in New York City transit, while the workers spend 8+ hours, and the riding public probably spend 2-3 hours in the system, right? I guarantee you this woman don't last 1 hour in the subway. That's a fact. Talking about she see it. How come they see all this stuff and the people who spend the most time in the system don't see anything? This is what I'm talking about with them gaslighting us. Now I want to go back to something that she has said. I want to go back to this what she has said because she's wild. She's crazy.
Morning, Chief.
Hold on one second.
Good morning. So just to
Wait, hold on. Let me get it back to this. Hold on.
Transportation Secretary talking about. If
Hold
we
on. Hold on. Let me get back
but
there.
so, and I hate to even say this, but so what is our, Transportation Secretary talking about? If we, our numbers are saying one thing, they're saying something else? I mean, where are they getting their numbers from?
well, West
She want to know. Hold on. I'm about to go crazy. She want to know what the transportation secretary is talking about. Let me show her what the transportation secretary is talking about. Let me show her. Have you seen this? Did you see the picture of the conductor who almost got his head separated from his shoulders? Did you see that? You want to know what else the transportation secretary is talking about? How about when my brother Denard Jenkins got stabbed in the back by a maniac? How about that? How about that? Right? You want to know what else they talk about? How about when the station agent got punched in the face for doing her job? You want to know what else the transportation secretary is talking about? RP to the brother Garrett Goebel. It'd be 5 years since he passed yesterday, right? 5 years. This is what the transportation secretary is talking about, right? But they want to gaslight us to act like what we seeing with our own eyes is not credible, but we must believe in their numbers, right? We got to believe in their numbers. Now, I want to continue to go. I'm going to go through the next clip that I got regarding the hoax and the gaslighting that they doing to the riders and workers and now the feds when it comes to safety.
Dory, Andrew, Sam.
Chief, thank you so much. And so I understand many more cops in the system. How many are we talking about kind of patrolling the system each day? Estimate.
Yeah, that number fluctuates daily, but it's a
Okay.
lot. I mean, we have officers that are on overtime in the system. We've moved additional officers from administrative jobs. That's 181 from there. We moved a good portion of our FTU officers, our new field training officers, riding the trains at night. So I can't give you the exact number, but it's a big investment.
Yeah, and as Chris sometimes say, more people are trusting us with their commutes, right? And so there is ridership up in our subway and bus system, and then talking also with like the new fleet that's coming in. It just feels like cognitive dissonance to me when I ride the subway system every day, and then I hear different leaders kind of talking about how our system is not a good one. We're kind of the best transit system in North America. So thank you for your work and those statistics.
Thank you.
How the hell is she in a position to even talking about cognitive dissonance when they are the ones on that MTA board who suffer from it more than anyone else? Are you trying to say that the workers who spend more time in the system than any one of them do have ever spent, because none of them worked the role in New York City Transit, and that includes the president of New York City Transit. He never was a conductor or train operator or anything front facing in New York City Transit. New York City Transit is a different beast from Long Island Railroad. Let's be clear about that. Right? He didn't come up through the ranks of the rank and file. Let's be clear about that in New York City Transit. I don't care about Metro North and Long Island Railroad, not to say it like that, but their experiences are every agency got their own unique experience. New York City Transit has a unique experience, and that's a fact, right? But she want to talk about cognitive dissonance, and she trying to say these other leaders. No, you know who have cognitive dissonance? You guys do. Because y'all sit there and y'all lie every chance y'all get about how safe the system is, and y'all know damn well the system is not safe. Y'all know that. Y'all know the system is not safe. But y'all sit there and gaslight, and once again, want to talk about numbers, want to talk about this. Let me ask her a question. She works. Ask her who got killed on her job. Ask her who got killed on her job. Ask her who got stabbed on her job. Which one of her coworkers got stabbed multiple times? Which one of her coworkers got punched in the eye multiple times, spit on, cursed out? Which one of her coworkers? But they want to sit there and gaslight us and then try to throw around words like cognitive dissonance as if she experienced what we experienced. And this is why we got to come to these MTA board meetings, because we cannot allow them to get away with these lies. These are blatant lies. These are blatant lies. Blatant lies. Let's get into the next clip. Hold on a second. Make sure I got the right clip. Let's get into this next clip.
Amy.
I think it was very, we talk about managing perception. We get it at the local level. To get it from, a federal cabinet secretary is pretty disappointing. I think people love to pick on New York. People really hate what New York is, and now it's more than ever.
Let me stop him right there. He talk about people hate what New York is. You want to know what people hate more? What you guys are doing. The lying, the gaslighting, the 3-card Monty, the sleight of hand, the smoke screen and mirrors. That's what us real New Yorkers hate the most. And these guys is probably not even real New Yorkers, born and raised. But they want to talk about what is hated. We hate the fact that we got all of these politicians, these Democrats, especially the Democrats, acting like they care for the labor class. They care. I guarantee you all of them is Democrats on that board. And look what they doing to us. They don't give a damn about labor. They don't care about our safety. They don't care about the riding public safety. The only thing they care about is their positions and pushing a narrative that they know is false. But let's continue.
Where people find a way to live together, despite our differences, our eccentricities. And New York is a dynamic place, always changing. It's hard to keep up. And the MTA and the NYPD are in this partnership where they always have to keep up with those changes, not just what's happening in New York, but culturally across the United States. Every symptom of what happens in this city is experienced on our system. The numbers are terrific. So if you were going to make a statement based upon...
Remember, he said that. The numbers are terrific. I'm going to touch on that after his video is done.
empirical data, it certainly would have been very different from the one the Secretary made. So I think we're doing a great job. I think we've had to respond to a lot of conditions that were unprecedented, which is kind of the history of the NYPD and the MTA. We've always had to deal with the system kept running, and I think we're clearly getting safer. So I think that there's other places for the Secretary.
We're clearly getting safer. May I ask you where, sir? What part of the system is getting safer? But we go continue.
To look, perhaps people closer to proximity to him. We feel every symptom of what happens in this city. So what will not help is cutting funding for social service nonprofits. That does help to keep people off the streets. That does help keep people fed. What will not help is cutting education resources that will help kids find ways into after-school programs, music programs, art programs, So I think there might be better uses of time than coming after the MTA and the NYPD before you've actually looked at our data.
Amy.
Now, one thing I did agree with him on is that I don't believe that funding should be cut to the length that they talking about getting it cut. But let's be real here. The only way the MTA listens is if you threaten to take money away from them, because that's less money for them to throw away. That's what MTA stand for, money thrown away. And also, they don't respect pregnant women. Mothers treated awful. I got that from somebody in my comment section. I like that. Mothers treated awful. That's what the MTA is, right? But I do agree with him to an extent about them cutting the funding, right? But the only way you get anyone to listen is when you boycott them or when you cut their funding. That has always worked in this country and is no different from the MTA. In order to get them to listen, you got to cut their funding. Now, these people love to talk about the safety, and the safety is this, the safety is that. Have you ever been to MTA headquarters when there's a board meeting? Right? Now, let's be clear. Nobody goes up to the board meeting that's threatening. There's never no EDPs at the board meeting. There's never somebody with a weapon at the board meeting. There's good law-abiding citizens at the board meeting. Let's be clear about that. To get to the board meeting, you got to go past bomb-sniffing dogs. Yes. For their safety, they're having the bomb-sniffing dogs in the lobby. They also have metal detectors in the lobby, right? And then when you get upstairs on the 20th floor for the board meeting, you see, no exaggeration, about 20 to 30 plainclothes officers protecting the people at the MTA board meeting, right? So, of course, they think the system is safe. Yes, you want to know what? 2 Broadway is extremely safe, without a doubt. 130 Livingston is extremely safe, without a doubt. Coney Island Stillwell is not safe with a police precinct downstairs. We just seen a woman set on fire at Coney Island Stillwell with a police precinct right downstairs, right? So yes, their perception and their reality is totally different from the workers and the riders, because I've never seen metal detectors to get into a subway station. So yes, your perception on safety and our perception on safety is just not the same. The way that they treat the board members is not how they treat the workers and the riders in the system. You have murders in the system. You have sexual assaults in the system. You have robberies in the system, right? Now, they want to talk about the numbers. Everything is the numbers. Everything is the numbers. And just to remind you guys, once again, the phone lines are open. You see the number on the screen. If you want to call in and talk, you can hit me up and I'll put you live on the air. But yeah, they want to talk about these numbers, the numbers, right? Let's talk about the numbers. Oh, let's talk about a NYPD commander punished for allegedly faking New York City subway crime stats. And this was reported by the New York Post. The head of an NYPD transit district in Queens was stripped of his command amid allegations that he had police reports falsified to downplay subway crimes on his watch, sources tell the Post. Captain Stephen Highland, who headed Transit District 20 in Jamaica, allegedly had 2 sergeants and a lieutenant under his command falsify reports, even forging signatures to play down robberies and grand larcenies in the subway system. The law enforcement sources said full story, link in bio, and things of that nature, right? Now, how about that? How about that? The MTA love to talk about the numbers, 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 right? There's allegations of a commanding officer forging the numbers. So how real are these numbers? And I told you guys years ago what the play is in NYPD. Don't think that it's just this one guy, this one commanding officer. No, this is the practice with NYPD. This is the practice. This is the practice, right? And the practice is they keep these numbers low. Why? Because if they show that their precinct or their district is unsafe, they can't move up the ranks even further. So in order to move up the ranks, you have to show that you have crime under control. And these commanding officers, what I told you guys about this years ago, it finally came to light. And this was brought to light to me from other officers who know the game, that these numbers are kept low for this particular reason, for them to move up the ranks. This is a fact. When I said this, people was like, "Oh no, that can't be true." You know, the cop. I like to call them copologists, people who make excuses for police officers. Some police officers can't do no wrong in some people's eyes, right? No matter what they do, they could be on camera doing something crazy. Some police officers can't do nothing wrong in some people's eyes, right? But when I said that, y'all, oh, Tramel, you don't know, that's not true. This, that, this, that, this, that. But the truth is that it exists, and I was right. And the MTA relies on numbers that the NYPD is lying about. So once again, don't believe your eyes. Don't whatever you do, don't believe your eyes. Never believe your eyes. Don't believe your eyes, right? But believe these numbers that the NYPD is lying about. Do you see how diabolical? Do you see how diabolical? I'm just making sure the phone lines is working. Do you see how diabolical um the MTA is? Do you see why do you see why the feds are on them? Because they can't be honest to save their lives. Why nobody on that MTA board meeting brought up allegations of commanding officers of NYPD skewing the numbers, these numbers that the MTA readily rely on to push their narrative? Let me get into the first caller. Caller 6483, you now live on Progressive Action TV. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, how you doing, Jamal? Celso.
Caller,
Like
1 2 1
always.
2 1 2.
How you doing, Jamal? It's
Oh, hold on
Celso.
one
How you
second.
doing?
1 second. There you go. There you go, caller. Here we go. How you
Hey,
doing?
how you doing? How you doing, Jamal? Celso. How's everything?
What's going on, Celso? What's going on?
Good, good. I was just wanted to point a few things out. I think it's just human nature that money corrupts people, and no matter who's in power, they end up being corrupted because money influences them, power influences them ahead and handle it.
Can you
The
speak a little?
issue
Can you
with the
speak a little louder?
MTA, the issue with the MTA has always been the same issue. Has always been the same issue. You know, the issue has always been the same issue with the MTA. Like for example, if they smash the window on the bus, right? What is that? Is that vandalism?
That's
What is that
vandalism.
considered?
Vandalism.
And what is it? A misdemeanor, a crime, or a violation,
It should be a
right?
misdemeanor.
Like a bus with, well, the bus windows, how much do they cost? They're very, right? And so what happens ends up happening is that you pull it in, and they'll just send it right back. You know, they'll just say, hey, okay, we bring it back in. You know, it doesn't get documented, it doesn't get served. They just say, bring it in. We'll take care of it with people. You understand? It doesn't get documented every time, right? Or the dispatcher, it is significant, he'll come out and he'll write it up and he'll send it in to the police. The same thing if you get verbally or they just clips verbal, it's not crime, but they don't document, right?
Hmm.
You get threatened, they don't document it as a threat. They just write it up for their sake and it doesn't even go anywhere. Or things happen to you on the bus and we'll just say, okay, we're gonna send the dispatcher over and sometimes they'll send the police over. They wait on and then sometimes they'll call you back 10 minutes later and say, hey, I'll down and then okay, police is unnecessary, okay, we're gonna send supervision over. Then you'll do a report and then that is it's never like a crime. You know?
Hmm.
And those are the issues over and over that they downplay them. And even when accurate, take them off the bus, take them off the train, and never get to documentary report it. And you think that the officers took the person and arrested the person, then it turns out you see the person 2 days later, 2 weeks later, like nothing ever happened. They just release them. They just like, hey, you're on your own.
Hmm.
You can do as you please. So it's been going on for a very long time where they don't document stuff. And I think the first time they've actually thought doing it. But I'm sure every single driver, every single worker has it. And it's traumatizing. To, they see it as normal, but it's traumatizing to attack, jump down, or to threaten the normal circumstance, the normal job. What you don't want to take it home, it affects it. Um, watch over yourself and you watch your back and you think that somebody will recognize or somebody who know who I am from good and they might want to attack me just because I'm wearing the MTA uniform. I was wearing an MTA uniform. You know they and forcing the rules and they see you as part of the system. So that's the problem. I think that they connect us to white people that the customers start to think that we're also part of the system. Yeah, yeah. So when you make an announcement, NYPD is on the train, NYPD is on the bus, and then now what happens when NYPD is not there? The customer sees hey, your authority figure out like of your station. You they just out there. Uh,
Gotcha.
Unfortunately, there've been too many attacks over and over. And when was the last time you seen somebody get it? People know it's a joke. They know that they can spit and on us and constantly work and know that there's not going to be any consequence. Not going to take. When the office is down, you're on it right away. You call in on that radio, you're in trouble. Yeah,
Hmm.
you're in trouble. That was my point. And I'm glad that the MTA board is just gaslighting everyone. They know what I think they know. They have some suspicion of what's going on. They know the problem areas. They know that the incidents keep occurring in certain areas, in certain bus lines, certain train lines at certain points, and they know what's going on. They act like they don't. like all the world. You just think about like Times Square, Midtown, and then all the outer boroughs on your own problem. You haven't got enough resources to go to, as is always,
Gotcha.
and so yeah, and I don't know if it's discriminatory, what's going on. But they don't have certain areas. Like, care more about certain areas more than other areas. I'm not gonna say what it's based on. I don't know why they only care about it. And thank you for what you're doing, Jamal, and you have a good night. And plenty of workers will be traumatized. They just scared to speak up because you already know what happens to MTA workers that speak up. You get retaliated on, you get fired, you've been through the experience.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately.
It's not a nice experience. You know what I mean? It's not a nice experience. They'll throw you out into the street and you have to for yourself just for having or
Yeah.
speaking up for yourself. Not a good experience. And
I think
I wish everyone was speaking up, but nobody wants to phone out because you. And I'm glad that they've been exposed. Uh, Have a good night.
thanks for calling. That was Celso Garcia, a victim of New York City Transit. He got terminated too. This place is crazy. Um, so they want us, like Celso said, a lot of things go underreported, right? They don't report certain things. The NYPD, I think they get in their marching orders. I'm talking about the officers um that's what you call that? That's in the field or whatever. You know, they I think they got their marching orders, not to make simple arrests, to try to keep crime down and all that other stuff. And you know what's so crazy? Everybody talking about the MTA love to run with this narrative, and sometimes NYPD of yeah, this person jumped the turnstile and we caught them and they had a firearm on them. Do y'all know how many people NYPD let through the gate willingly, especially at Coney Island Stillwell? They let droves of people through that gate, right? And to me, that's a major disconnect. I think that, they should have discretion, but it shouldn't be open sesame, right? It shouldn't be open sesame, and this is what they do. But like I said, you got the MTA. Let me go back to this lady. I'm gonna go back to what this lady had to say. Let me let me cue that back up. Cause she kind of like made me upset. I ain't gonna lie. She kind of like made me upset. Let me go back to that part.
Morning, Chief.
Good morning. So just to touch on President
Hold
Krishlow's
on. Let
point
me fix
earlier.
this.
And I hate to even say this, but so what is our, transportation secretary talking about? If we, our numbers are saying one thing, they're saying something else. I mean,
Ah, let me get back to it again. Let me get back to it again. If your numbers are saying this, then how does this happen? What is this officer doing? They never discussed that the whole time at the MTA board meeting. You know what I'm thinking? Know what I'm thinking? I may be talking a little funny because I got this earpiece in and I'm hearing myself like kind of like delayed, so it's throwing me off, but I just muted it. I'm thinking we should throw a rally at the MTA board meeting. Y'all remember the last time I did that? I brought probably like 100 people with me and they had to sit us in different rooms and like, Tremel was going. I think we need to redo that again. We need to go to the next MTA board meeting, flood the room, right? And let them know that they're lying. Why they not telling the whole damn story? I'm not mad at what Sean Duffy is doing because that lady, I don't even know her name, Adori, I'm not even sure who she is. She wanted to talk about gaslighting. I mean, she wanted to talk about cognitive dissonance. They in the twilight zone. They're in the twilight zone. And I'm just not going to sit back and allow them to lie. Right? I'm not going to sit back and allow them to lie. And you want to know what I like about the work that I do? Even though I'm elected, right? I don't have to work here or even be elected to expose the MTA. I don't have to do any of the above. Right? That's what makes it so good for me, is that I don't have to work here or be elected to do the work that I do. I could just go in front of MTA headquarters with my phone, make a video, get thousands of views, put them under real scrutiny because everyone knows that they're lying. Everyone knows that they're lying to us, right? Really put the pressure on them, right? And I've been given, I'm going to say this too, right? Once again, the phone lines is open, 914-998-6942. I want to say this also. I've been given some managers a pass. I've been giving them a pass, right? The same way how they took my train pass, so I can't get on the subway for free. I'm about to revoke their pass, right? Because what these people have done to me personally, they tried to destroy my professional reputation. They tried to destroy my personal reputation. They did actually create, they did those things. They created hardship for me, right? Through labor relations and SIR. I forget what the acronym for that. I've been saying it all day. Let me see. Let me get back to that. What's the acronym again? It's a shame I got to go to a video. What's the acronym? Oh, Special Investigations and Review, right? I've been giving some managers a pass, some bosses a pass, like deliberately not dogging them the way that I can. You know, I could talk about, I could subscribe to my lower self and talk about the rumors that I hear about this, that, destroy homes like I try to destroy mines, right? Because everybody know transit it is what it is, right? I'm about to take that pass back because you know, these people act like they're your friends and they act like they could do you favors and they act like, you know, they got your back. And then when you reevaluate what have they really done for you, they haven't done sugar honey iced tea for you. Nothing at all. Not nothing. Right. And I'm always taking the higher road. See, what you guys see from me, that y'all see my response. Y'all never see what provoked me for that response. I don't wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to call out this person just because I got a platform and that's what I want to do. I don't do that, right? That's not what I do. Something happens and I respond. The MTA have their own platform. That platform is called Let's Act Like the Arbitrators Are Impartial. Let's act like the process is fair. That's their platform. And I have my platform, right? I had an MTA boss say to me jokingly, hey, Tramel, why don't you make a good video about the MTA? And my response is, why don't y'all tell the truth about the MTA? All of y'all social medias is built with lies. I see the transit workers that they get. Don't you notice that they not one transit worker in their videos say anything negative or anything that could bring any type of negative light? You never hear them say, well, we don't get lunches sometime, but we still move the railroad. They never say no shit like that. Right? They never say nothing like that. And they want to say, Tramel, why you always saying something bad in your video? Well, why y'all always saying something good? And it be filled with lies. Y'all never tell the whole truth. The same way at this MTA board meeting, y'all sat there said all this stuff about the numbers, the numbers, the numbers. Don't believe your eyes, the numbers, the numbers, the numbers. But then never touched on the allegation of a commanding officer lying about the numbers that y'all rely on to sell us lies. There's no real transparency here. And if it wasn't for progressive action and myself, the riding public wouldn't really know what's going on. Right? Because this company, first of all, it's too bureaucratic. This department don't know what this department doing. They supposed to be working together. They got to go through this department to get this. That department got to talk to that department. Too much bureaucracy here, right? Absolutely too much bureaucracy. And nothing gets done, right? It's too much going on here. It's too many managers, right? These managers don't know what these other managers do. These managers that you work with, you really don't know their job. The only thing that they are efficient in is discipline. This is a fact. Now, I will say this. There's managers out in the field that do want to do the right thing. But those managers that do want to do the right thing on the job are shunned upon by the folks who want to keep the status quo in check. And keeping the status quo in check is keeping the rank and file in check, creating hardships for us. Anything that the union wants to get done or we want to get through positive, we got to run it. They got to run it through a gauntlet of people to talk to before they do anything positive for us, right? They got to run it through a gauntlet of people. But when they want to institute discipline, when they want to do anything that's going to be beneficial to them, less than 24 hours is being handed down. I asked a simple question the other day. Why do we still got to carry our rule books if the rule books are digitized now? We can have the rule books on our phone. Why we got to carry our physical rule book on us? Oh, we got to run it. We got to talk to this person, that person, that person, that person, that person. What? It's common sense. This is simple. This is simple common sense. But this is the BS that they do to us, right? And then when I get on my high horse and defend my members and do what I got to do to defend the members and defend the membership as a whole, I'm the bad guy. Well, guess what? Guess what? I'm going to continue being the damn bad guy then. That's what I'm going to be. I don't care. Until they start doing the right thing, and not only in words, but in actions, then we could talk. And just to be clear, not everybody in labor relations is bad. Now, by Summa Kamara, he's evil. He's not a good guy. No matter how much he try to front, and what he try to do is try to play us against each other. Oh, some people don't, but this is who he is. He's not a good guy. He's not a good guy. No matter how much he try to front, he's not a good guy. And I'm not even gonna say what I need to say there because I don't want to blow nobody else up. But you got people. Let me see. You got people who know of his work ethic, and they know he's not a good guy. They know that he has a spotlight, a magnifying glass on the subway's department. He wants to inflict pain. And when this person decides to come forward, who has dealt with him, who deals with him on a professional level, the truth is going to be told. Everybody knows he's not a good guy, right? And I want to show you another not good person. And I want to explain this because I don't want nobody to get this confused or twisted. I don't want nobody to misconstrue this, right? I want to be clear on why I'm doing what I'm doing with this, right? The other bad person is this woman, Miranda Grant, the chief officer of Special Investigations and Review, right? Now I know some people may be saying, Tramel, why is she bad? I'm gonna tell you why she bad. She, when I first met her, very nice woman, right? Comes off as, you know, someone you could trust, right? Come off as someone that you could trust. Come off as someone that you could tell the truth to, but she's diabolical, right? She's there to protect the company. She don't give a damn about the rank and file unless it's rank and file against rank and file, or it's anything on that level. If you're trying to come after the status quo, she's going to do everything in her power to make sure you and whomever is aligned with you is going to be dealt with. And I'm not talking about this from a point of view of I heard or whatever. I'm telling you from my own personal experience, right? I've sat with this woman back in 2020. Byford has sent the old transit president Byford has sent the recommendation down that I sit down with SIR regarding my complaints. I told this woman who my witnesses were. She actually sat in on an interview, right, to interview me. And I got it on audio recording of me telling her so that there's no misconstrue of you never told us, you never did this, you never did that. I told them. And you know what they did in turn? They targeted the individual who I said was my witness, right? All by the leadership of Miranda Grant from SIR, right? Now, at the time, I didn't know what they was doing. I didn't know about that. For back in 2022, they had a folder, and I'm not exaggerating. They had a folder like this thick of things with me. They've been holding it for a long time, I guess. And they was asking me certain things. Well, how do you know about this? Or where did you hear this? Or how you know about this corruption? Once again, I'm not thinking. I didn't know at the time what they did back in 2020, what they collected that information for. This time they collected the information, and I mean, not this time, but they collected the information of the witnesses again and targeted those folks. Now this time they wrote down they even mentioned it in the damn packet who told me the information. Guess what they did again? They did not interview the person who told me, right? They got the information, they collected the data from me to go behind, collaborate with labor relations and target those individuals. This is a fact. I'm not even making this up. Let me tell you something. It's very rare that a manager get written up. Very rare. I'm talking about a superintendent get written up. Very rare. What's the coincidence of all the superintendents who they thought was aligned with me faced some type of hardship or got written up or caught some type of backlash? What's the odds of that? Of everyone who I told to this department, not only that, who they thought was aligned with me, actually was targeted, right? Every manager who I said was had information that could corroborate my story, every single last one was targeted. This is not a coincidence, people. This is what they were doing. This was deliberately done. And once again, I have the audio recordings because I never, ever trusted them at all. And I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad that I did it because these are some dishonest folks. And I know y'all probably thinking, like, yeah, this black woman, the president is now black. It's not about skin color. Like John Owen say it all the time. It's about character. And the character of some of these players involved are flawed. because they don't give a damn about you. They are there to protect the company, right? They there to protect the company. Now, the reason why I decided to make the video about Miranda Grant the other day is because back in December, right? I think it was like December 20th or somewhere around there. I complained about what was happening at the MAC. What was going on was that I was told by a member who had to visit MAC 3 and see Dr. Nickens that she was leaving out workers' diagnoses for other workers to see, right? This is a straight out HIPAA violation. We not supposed to know other people medical conditions, they diagnoses, nothing about them. We not supposed to see that. And we all know how the MTA, how they function, how they operate. You got to have undeniable evidence to substantiate a claim against the MAC, to substantiate a claim about a high ranking officer, to substantiate a claim against anyone that's a part of the old boys network. This is a fact, right? Because if you try to bang it in, it's gonna be unfounded. Uh Nothing was found and all this other stuff. So you got to do what you got to do to substantiate your claims. So this particular witness videotaped how Dr. Nickens was moving in the MAC and sent it to me. I reported it to the MAC and I reported it to the president of New York City Transit, right? So the other day I sent off an email demanding what was the results of what I had sent in to OHS director Carl Hammond, right? What ended up happening is that he told me to check in with SIR about the status of the complaint. I'm gonna be honest, I don't believe that they ever banged in the complaint officially until they seen that I was serious about following up. So a guy that works for SIR named Thomas Capiello emailed me the other day and was like, basically, can you put me in contact with your witness? Now, this is the same Thomas Capiello and his partner in crime, PNC, as we call it in the hood, Don Stewart. I caught PTSD when he asked me for my witness. I ain't gonna lie, I caught PTSD. I'm like, my witness? Can't be serious. I said, you know what? Let me give him a call because I want to be clear about where I stand at with this whole situation, right? And less than 10 seconds of being on the phone with him, he got straight to the point. He said, I want to know who your witnesses are. And I said, absolutely not. I'm not giving you no witness. And the reason why I'm not giving you no witness, because every time Tremel Thompson provided a witness to Special Investigations and Review, those witnesses were never called into an investigation. And in turn, somehow they end up being targeted after revealing the names to SIR. I never revealed the names to Labor Relations. I revealed it to SIR. So what I think happens is SIR collect the data from me. They call BK and Labor Relations. BK and Labor Relations do what he got to do in the field and target those managers. It's too much of a coincidence, right? We know for a fact, one thing we know for a fact, right, is that when I give names to SIR, they do not interview them. This is a fact. They end up being targeted. This is a fact. I'm not assuming, I'm not doing anything. That's actually on record. And the guys who I named, once again, on tape, I could call them right now and ask them, have they ever been called by SIR anything regarding Tremel Thompson? They would tell you no, right? And they actually wrote letters for me to substantiate my complaint on that, right? But when Thomas Capiello asked me for my witness, there's no way in good conscience can I ever provide a witness for the MTA regarding anything, because they have proven to me on numerous occasions that they're not asking for the good. They're asking to target those individuals. And I cannot do that. I cannot do that. I cannot provide a witness for them to be the target of an investigation, because what they're going to say is, well, you know that you wasn't supposed to be recording inside the Mac, and try to reverse it and switch it on them, because they kind of like said that to me when I first sent in the video back in December. Well, you know they're not supposed to be recording. So recording the Mac is more important than a HIPAA violation that they was that the doctor created. And then not only that, what they did was they moved the doctor from Mac 3 to Mac 1. So they only shuffled the deck, right? Now, when we do something egregious on our jobs, one or two things happen. They'll sit you down and restrict you on the platform, or they will pre-disciplinary suspend you, where they take your pass and they take your health insurance until an arbitration date is set, right? A HIPAA violation, in my opinion, is a very egregious violation by a doctor, right? By anyone who's privy to other people's medical records. It's a HIPAA violation, right? It's egregious. Why did they shuffle the deck and just move her to Mac 1? What they could have done is, you know what? I'm not saying that she should go without a paycheck. She should be allowed her due process. But at the same time, she should be held out from dealing with any members until this investigation is complete. Y'all do it with us, and y'all pre-disciplinary suspend us. Now, when I had the conversation with the people at the MAC, their excuse was, well, she has a strong union. I don't give a damn how strong her union is. She's harming members in Local 100, right? So it shows you how irresponsible the MTA is and how lenient they are when it comes to anyone who's a part of their network that they want to protect. This is a fact. But if you're not in a network of people that they want to protect, they're going to come for you. They're going to take your pass. They're going to give you big stick discipline. This is a fact, right? So they just shuffle the deck with her. There's no way, like I said once again, there's no way I could ever give the MTA a witness in good conscience. Because they already showed me what they would do, because they did it to me numerous times, right? Now, I want to be clear. Once again, I said this earlier in the show. What's understood don't need to be said. Don't think that the federal government is prodding around on this property just because they have nothing else better to do. Don't think that they're not watching and listening. Don't think that there's not conversations happening late at night when my phone is ringing, right? And I got a call while I was on the phone with someone from the federal government, and I'm quite sure they got some new information to me, because how they treated me is worthy of an investigation. And the only thing that I asked the MTA for, right? Just look at the facts in my case. Just look at the fact that SIR didn't do a thorough investigation. Look at the fact of the actions that labor relations took during my whole entire case. This is like a RICO. And I was told that. This sounds like a RICO. Something went terribly wrong with the MTA. And I was asked, what would you want? I made it clear, I just want my job back. That's all I wanted back. Now, I sent off a letter to the MTA the other day, officially bringing my concerns forth. And I bring them forth again, but I'm doing it in a new capacity, with new advisors, right? Big time advisors. And I just want them to do the right thing. I just want them to do the right thing. Give me my job back. Y'all know what y'all did. Y'all know what y'all did. And until we start having those conversations, I'm going to continue to collaborate with the federal government on my situation of what happened. At that point, it will be no hold bars. I'm not reeling anything back. Anything back. Now, I sent off the email the other day. Nobody got back to me yet. And I'm from a place where it says what's understood don't need to be said. Silence is compliance. No answer is an answer. And I have no problem with that. But I promise you, I would do everything in my power to make sure heads roll. I think that we should have a conversation about what happened in my situation. I think that there should be they should do the right thing for once in their life to give me my job back, and we will let bygones be bygones. If not, I'm good either way. Just know that it's on, it's on, it's on, it's on. But I'm not playing with SIR. They played with me, SIR and labor relations. Those are two of the worst departments in New York City Transit. And if things are going the way that I think they may go, I think some people may go to jail. I think what happened to me was a planned attack. Um, how my case was handled from day one with my G2 being released to the internet for everyone to see, less than 24 hours after I wrote it, and I gave it to the MTA. How did it get released? It's beyond me, but it was released. They never gave me no answer on that. And like I said, it's looking like it's a conspiracy to try to get me seriously hurt or killed. One thing they did not anticipate, because they look, they knew what they was doing, not interviewing my witnesses to make me look like a liar, had the arbitrator in their pocket. Let me see, had the arbitrator in their pocket. The timing of everything, they wanted to get me terminated before the election. And, once I got terminated, they was hoping that they would never see Tremel Thompson again. And I don't know how many times I have to tell them this. Everything that I've been doing with progressive action was never my plans. Anyone who knows me would tell you that my plans was never to be any of this stuff. These was God's plans for a fact. And try to tell him, if you go against God's plans, God is going to make sure that you never do that again. And they thought that they had me dead in the river. God had other type of plans. I did not campaign for my position. I didn't buy no flyers. I didn't do anything. I did the bare minimum. And I won vice president of my department. And the MTA did not anticipate that. And let's be real, the union administration didn't anticipate that. They didn't anticipate that. Everybody thought that I was done and I was finished. But some very powerful things happened. Trump won. By Trump winning, it allowed Kennedy to get a high-ranking position in the federal government. And everybody know that RFK Jr. is my guy. RFK Jr. cares about transit workers because one of his people is a transit worker. And by them winning, and I want to be clear, right? Everybody thought I was a Trump supporter and things of that nature. There's some things I like about Trump. There's some things I don't like about Trump. There's things I liked about Biden. There's things I don't like about Biden, right? But at the same time, I needed Trump to win because I already knew which direction this whole thing was gonna go in once he won. If Biden would have won, if Biden would have won and I still would have won my VP, I would have been dead in the water. But with Trump winning and me winning my VP, oh Lord have mercy. Skies is the limit. That's a fact. And two important things happened. Once again, Trump won. Kennedy got HHS secretary, and I won my VP spot. Those are things that nobody in the MTA thought was going to happen, especially the ones that was against me, who was plotting against me, right? They didn't think that was going to happen. So guess what's here now? Their worst nightmares here. I'm not an employee. I'm a VP, and I got direct connections to the federal government. And I have the charisma, I have the intelligence, I have the degrees, I have the certifications to make things happen. And you know, I get on my soapbox and I talk about certain things. And you know, some people be like, Tramel, you know, you gotta move in silence. You can't tell them everything. I'm in a space right now where if I was playing dominoes, I would show the MTA all of my cards like this. I would show them all my cards because they can't stop what's in God's plan. These are God's plans, not mine, right? So everybody who's going against me, you may think that you're good now, but I believe the universe has something else in store. And by putting these pieces in play, where people thought that I could not win, and I want to thank the members again for believing in me, believing in my activism, because the things that the spotlight that we are putting on the MTA, right, has never been done before, right? Never been done before. I still got people who, on behalf of John Chiarello, I honored what he said. He said he wanna keep the peace. He want us to focus on who our true enemy is, which is Jan Oliba, right? But you still got people on his side that's trying to undermine me. And I'm gonna deal with that on my time. And I'm gonna deal with that how I've been dealing with everything else. I don't mind spending a little money to embarrass you. And nobody can stop me from doing it. Right? And shout out to Chiarello. I call him, he picks up. He has been supportive of things I'm trying to do in the department. So shout out to him. But not everybody around him is good. That's a fact. That's a fact. Right? They trying to undermine the work that I'm doing in the department. Right? But like I said, I'm gonna deal with that on my time. And I'm gonna show them why I'm not to be fucked with. Bottom line. You want to try to undermine me and try to embarrass me, I'm gonna show you how to do this. What Jay-Z said, I show you how to do this, son. One thing y'all should know about me is that I don't fake jacks. I don't fake jacks. If I say that I'm gonna do it times 10. That's a fact. That's a fact. I think somebody owes me an apology. I think somebody should apologize to me because I'll let bygones be bygones. But if not, I'm just gonna do what I do. Just go do what I do. I ain't gonna allow people to talk reckless about me and think that I ain't gonna do what I do. Nah, I'm gonna do what I do. That's that. But um, man, I feel so blessed. Um, I got a good team of officers around me. Even the officers I didn't run with, shout out to them. Shout out to Morrison. Shout out to Burke. People was trying to start trouble between me and Burke, man. Burke is one of my guys. We know too many of the same people, man. And Burke is cut from that same cloth I'm cut from. He's an OG in this, you know what I mean? Shout out to Burke. Shout out to my right hand drumming. Shout out to Perry. Shout out to Luke. Shout out to Shumo. Um, Shout out to Snow. Shout out to Snack. If I'm missing anybody, that I'm working with in the officer capacity, shout out to y'all, man. Like, even though we ran on different slates, I buried the hatchet with them. Feel what I'm saying? Because it's not about us at this point. It's about the members, right? And that's what I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on the members, right? I don't want to get caught up in the BS. That's why I ain't get at homie yet who was talking slick. Know what I mean? If I ain't had nothing to do, I would have did it already. It's coming though. It's coming. Because people think that it's sweet until it's not sweet no more. So the same energy I gave the other homeboy that got kicked out of here, I'm about to do a whole new round of that. Believe that. Right? But once again, my primary focus is on the MTA, their corrupt practices, Miranda Grant, um, by Musa Kamara, aka BK, Labor Relations, and others who tend to impose their will on the membership. The people who want to cause the members harm, the people who want to gaslight uh, the riding public and gaslight others, talking about it's safe in the subways when it's really not. Those are our enemies. And to the riding public that watches this show, I want to be quite clear with you guys. We are on the same team. Don't allow the MTA leadership to drive a wedge between the riders and the workers. They have been doing that for years now. We are on the same team. When you see a transit worker, we're not against you, right? And if we do something that you don't understand, best believe it's the MTA cracking the whip on us to make us understand, to make y'all understand, right? Actions that we do, we don't control the schedules of the train. That's the MTA. They control the schedules of the train. When they tell us not to make connections during certain hours, like you coming in on a Q train to DeKalb Avenue, and it's between 6 and 9, and you see that R train across the platform, we instructed not to make connections. Yeah, we know you got to get to work. We not doing it to be mean. And some people be upset and they wait for the next conductor to come and they curse out the next conductor. They may spit on them. They may do whatever. We don't make up the rules and regulations here. We just operate the equipment. And I'm not saying that every transit worker is a saint, but we do the job based off of how the discipline is implemented, right? Transit is heavy in discipline. They're about punishment, punitive, 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 punitive. No corrective discipline. Little to no corrective discipline. The MTA look to draw blood every chance they get. This is a fact, right? And this is the policy, the vision of Bamusa Kamara, aka BK. This is what he want. They overcharge employees, and then when it's time to settle, the settlement is still an overcharge. And then they threaten, oh, just take it to arbitration. Yeah, take it to the arbitrators who y'all got in y'all back pocket because it happened to me. They want you to think the arbitration process is fair and the arbitrator is impartial. Yeah, maybe one or two of them, but I identify a couple of them that y'all have in y'all pocket because I was the victim of two of them. This is a fact, right? But this company needs reform to the highest power. So if that means the federal government saying that they go withhold funds from the MTA in order for them to get things right, yeah, I disagree with the idea of it. But in order to get them to listen, if that's what it takes, then take the damn money. Take it. Because they don't care about workers' safety. They don't care about riders' safety. And I want to say this, I want to be quite clear on this, right? I've been saying this for years. If the MTA cannot protect their workers, then how can they protect you? I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. I'll catch you later next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Next Wednesday at 9 p.m. for the live show.